Your life right now is a reflection of your thoughts and your feelings, which are being fueled by your beliefs, even if those beliefs are limiting you from experiencing the life you really want to have. So how can you begin to identify the limiting beliefs you have and start to shift them? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you 2 examples from my life, how I identified them, as well as how I changed them and what that caused in my outside world. The mission of this channel is to help empower you through self-awareness, because the more you know, the more you can grow. If you've been having a hard time identifying what your limiting beliefs are, this video is going to help you. If you watch until the end of this video, you're going to understand how exactly you can start using this process in your life to uncover those beliefs that have been holding you back and release yourself from them, stepping into that life you want to have. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to start with is my limiting beliefs on what I could do in the world and how I got love. So from 9 years old to 25 years old, I basically was fixated on making the Olympics. There was an event that I wanted to happen. In order to understand myself better, I'm going to share with you what was going on in that obsession. Well, for one, I felt that if I could make the Olympic team, then I would have value in people's life. They would want to be friends or stay connected to me because the value I brought to them was through what I did. Now, for you, this could be about a job or a career. If I could get this position, then I would be valuable to people. They would respect me. What meaning or value do you put on this event? This can really start to help you understand what you're looking for. For me, I dedicated all of my teenage years and most of my college life, and after that, all dedicated to make the Olympic team, so then I would have worth. So already we're understanding more about me, and simply by peeling back, what was my mission? I wanted to make the Olympics. Well, why did I want to make the Olympics? And this is something you can do right now. That goal, and again, to be clear, goals are not bad. Having a goal and having a mission in life does not mean you have limiting beliefs. However, you want to understand what is really fueling you. Because if it comes from a limiting belief or a lack, you want to address that need, get clear with yourself, and make sure that's actually what you want to spend your life doing. Because if not, as you start to heal these wounds, release these limiting beliefs, it actually frees you to be as you authentically were meant to be. So again, for me, I wanted to make the Olympic team. Why did I want to? At the time, I thought, I wanted to show people that they could really do it. But really, when I started to really search my heart, it was because I wanted to be loved and accepted. And I thought if I made the Olympic team, I would have more value to people and I would be able to maintain connections. So really, at the root of that Olympic pursuit was me wanting to maintain or have connection. So when I started to understand the meaning, and for me, this actually happened after the fact. I didn't make the Olympic team, and it really showed me what I was looking for, which was connection. And it really made me have to look at the idea, the limiting belief, right? Because now for me at the time was I lacked something. And with this event, I would be whole and complete. So again, you're also seeing that I didn't feel like I was enough, limiting belief. I didn't feel like I was worthy, limiting belief. So the reason that I was so set on trying to manifest or trying to draw this to me or work really, really hard, it was actually echoing something from the past. So the past basically creates your perception. Your eyes are not what's seeing your reality right now, your brain. And your brain has all the conditions, all the programs, and you're seeing through the lens of that. That's why you will draw to you things that continue to echo that energy, not because that's your worth or what you're capable of, but so you can resolve and heal this past and then break that energy chain. So for me, it looked like, okay, what was my past? I thought as a kid, I perceived that my value was through what I did. I had to go out and be a hero or go out and win sports. And when I could win sports, then I could get connection. And so I perceived that. I started to look through that lens. I started to act and be my thoughts and my feelings were that's how the world worked. And so even though there were opportunities and situations when I look back that wasn't the case, that is how I felt, assumed the world to be. So I continued to work hard. And every now moment was, I lack it. If I don't have number one, if I don't have this job, if I don't have this amount of money and this status symbol, then I'll be rejected. And really for me, that was at the core of it. I lacked this connection. I felt afraid that I would be forgotten, or I'd be rejected, or I'd be abandoned. So I better get this, right? So my eyes and all my attention was fixated on the doing, who I have to be, what do I have to do? But really it was being driven by the misunderstanding of my past. Misunderstanding based on an early on snapshot as a child that I needed to do in order to have love. That it's how I worked for love to get the connection. And looking back, it was a distortion. It was me not understanding what was going on and in the situation. But I perceived that to be true, my assumption, what I was giving permission and consent to be true, because at the time I hadn't looked back to see, why the hell do I not feel enough right now? Why do I feel unworthy? Oh, if I was worthy, these things would have happened as a kid. And since they didn't, I must be unworthy. Okay, so now I've got to do, okay, if I'm a really good athlete, then I get connection. So you can start to see, okay, what is it that you're really getting? What bad thing would happen if you didn't get the job? What negative thing would happen if you don't get that money? Not about the outside stress, but how would people see you? How would you be loved and accepted, or would you be rejected? If you can start getting really into the deep motivation on why you're looking for this, and again, you can have a goal and a pursuit, and you can be afraid that you might not get it. But if it starts to be, I'm afraid if I don't get this, then I'm going to be rejected. No one's going to be there for me. That's going to start showing you what your past is. And those limiting beliefs are basically leftover beliefs. Those were what you could believe. Those are the things you could see about yourself that were safe. And I started to do as a kid, I started to get that connection I was looking for. So that kept me safe. Because of my perception, I wasn't able to see that I was whole and complete at the time, that I was worthy of love and affection without ever doing. It's not what I did. It was never what I did. It was who I am. And who I am was shown through what I did, but I didn't understand that because I was a kid when I put this together. So for you, what event are you looking for? What thing, if you had that amount of money or if you had that job? And again, don't think about, oh, well then, Abby, if I don't have that money, then all these bad things will happen. But let's look at you when it comes to that emotional aspect, the emotional energy. What would you be rejected? Would you be abandoned? Would you be looked down on? Because if you can start to see that, you can start to see what you really feel about yourself, what you feel you're lacking here in the moment, which is going to be fueled by a limiting belief from the past. So simply digging in deeper and understanding the meaning you're placing on having this new experience in life. It's because that event, there's end emotions that you feel you want, which is good. But if you're feeling that there's no other way to get them in your life unless you have this, it's going to start revealing those limiting beliefs and that distortion of how you get your needs met. So for this second example, we're going to move right over here, and it's going to be about love. And this is going to be a little bit different because what this is going to do, it's going to show you more of a real-time situation. So for me, with love, I had a rejection, a lot of abandonment, or maybe the person was still there, but I just consistently felt not seen or not appreciated, or I had to go all the way over and maybe do 90% of the work and they'd come 10% in. And if I didn't do that, I thought the relationship would fall apart. So what you got to understand, for me in the romantic situations, something would happen. Maybe they showed up to an event, but they seemed really disinterested. So they're unhappy. Oh, okay. So my interpretation, rather than seeing, okay, they got their own shit, that's not my responsibility. I thought because of my past, I'm responsible for their unhappiness. Something I did caused them to be dissatisfied here. And therefore I put that meaning in it. From this event and this situation, the meanings I was putting on is going to reveal a huge aspect to what your limiting beliefs are. Because whatever meaning you're putting on there, and for me, oh, they're unhappy, it must be my fault, which would be a belief based on the past that I'm emotionally responsible for other people, which would be,
Codependence.
But at the time, I thought that that was love. I thought that that was a relationship. So already, oh, well, they're unhappy at this situation. I've done something wrong and I need to make up for it. Again, I'm responsible for other people's emotions. If I do bad things, they're going to leave me. So again, this meaning is giving you a lot of information about your first impression of how you get your needs met, or what connection looks like. So it's relational trauma, specifically in this love example. Now, relational trauma doesn't have to look like an early on environment where things were really crazy or chaotic, or you came from a loveless home. Not at all. Really, trauma, according to Gabor Mate, is basically you have a natural way of being in the world. Something outside of you, an event happens, and it causes you to feel like you're not safe to be that way anymore, that you won't get your needs met, that you'll get abandoned. So you start to distort. So that distortion of how you have to be in order to have your needs met, or in order to stay connected and not be rejected, that's the trauma. And understanding and resolving it by taking your adult mind and the complexity of your frontal lobe and being able to see the situation different. For me, I'm not responsible emotionally for other people. Early on, I thought that I was causing different things to happen. I'm upsetting my parent, or I shouldn't have done that, or when I do this, then something bad happens. That perception, that reasoning as a little kid, that's how I'm seeing the event current day. My perceptions. Dr. Bruce Lipton says we have between 20 million, 50 million bits of information coming into our subconscious per second. And it gets sorted through the filters of the past, and all that comes into the present day is 40 of those. So those 40 are going to align with all the stories from the past. You're going to see the current situation through that lens, and you're going to go ahead and put that meaning that's going to be coming from the past. And another one would be, if I really liked somebody early on, I would get really anxious because I was afraid they were going to leave emotionally. So what was that doing? That was giving me echoes of the past. And rather than saying, whoa, I'm starting to feel really anxious here. Okay, what's going on here? What story am I telling myself? If I'm not enough, if I don't do enough, if I don't keep them happy, then they're going to leave me. And that something unknown would just come in and it would cause a disruption, because it was echoing on a distortion I had in my perception as a kid, that I was causing different emotional disconnects, which was not true when I took my brain and I looked back on it. So if somebody didn't call, or it had been a while since they texted, I would just really lose my mind. And there were so many times where I would stay awake 2, 3, 4 a.m., fall asleep, wake up, check my phone, fall asleep, wake up, check my phone. Where are they? Has something bad happened? Are they with somebody else? Do they not want me anymore? And what did I have to see? The meaning I was putting on myself is them not calling or texting me was because of me. And that's actually self-rejection. And what does that have to do? That has to do, and it comes from the past. So really understanding, getting down to that limiting belief, which is what lens are you looking through the situation? And a big way to start getting into this is ABC. Become aware, the story I'm telling myself is that they're unhappy because of me. Okay, I gotta breathe. That breath is gonna help ground you and stay in your body and keep your nervous system regulated, because you will not be able to see the situation clearly. Because if that nervous system gets dysregulated and you start perceiving it through the fear lens, where are those fears coming from? They're coming from events from the past. You didn't get your needs met if you made somebody unhappy. They would ghost you or stonewall you or whatever. If you were bad in somebody else's eyes, then you got something negative happening to you. So you're still relating to yourself and getting your emotional needs met through somebody else. So ABC. Okay, I'm aware of the story I'm telling myself, that they're going to leave me and I'm going to be all alone and there's nobody in the world that's going to love me. Okay, I know that those are stories of the past and I'm healing those wounds. I'm going to breathe. I'm going to stay in my body. I'm going to focus on my breath coming into my nose and going out through my mouth, nice and slow. I'm going to stay in my body. And I realize every time I do that, I get to make a new choice, which is the C part of ABC. The new choice would say, I'm not sure what's happening. Maybe you go up and say, hey, you having a good time? And maybe they say, oh yeah, I'm a little bit tired tonight, but yeah, this is really wonderful. Or maybe later they text you and say, oh hey, my phone fell in the lake, or a raccoon ran away with my phone and I have been trying to get a new phone ever since. And you're like, oh great. But when you start to realize that it's not your responsibility, the assumptions that it's your fault, that something bad's going to happen, rather than focusing on this outside thing, in trying to make this better, taking that energy and going back, okay, wow, that part of me is scared. That little part of me, that little kid inside of me needs my attention right now. It needs my connection, needs my validation. And this isn't to say, okay, you're going to be in some log cabin in the woods all by yourself for the rest of your life. Because when I started doing this, I actually started to become emotionally available to myself. And I actually became consistent with myself and refused to self-abandon. And what did that do? It opened the door to perceiving situations differently, to having different assumptions, and somebody who is emotionally available, consistent, who cares about me, and who values me, just as I started to do, actually came into my life. We've been able to build that loving, secure relationship because of how I started to address my limiting beliefs, remove myself energetically from them by seeing them with my adult mind and releasing that had ever had to do with me, and upgrading through ABC, awareness, breath, and new choice of these events, moment by moment by moment. And doing this actually allows your brain to fire and wire in a new way, which is literally creating a different lens, because we know we don't see our reality with our eyes, we see it with our mind. So the more and more you do this, the more and more you can start uncovering those limiting beliefs, realizing what you're really looking for from the event, and understanding what meaning you're placing on it. The more you uncover what's going on there, the more you can start to see where it's coming from. If you want a little bit more breakdown on how to shift out of those limiting beliefs, this next video right here is going to break it down even further. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you haven't done so already, join this community. I will see you on the next one.